Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's Adam with ND72. So today we're back with the E55. So last video I showed you is when it was kind of like that brief overview, like when I went to the track and stuff with the car. So one thing that a lot of people are battling with these cars are air intake temps. So two ways of going around that: ice tanks, heat exchanger, so on and so forth. Another kind of basic thing that people are battling with are the air intake system. So almost everyone really around says that the factory one is the best. Usually what people do is they'll modify the little plastic snorkels that break. They'll modify a little bit, but usually they say the factory one works pretty good. But the big disadvantage of the factory one is one thing I found at the track that broke something of mine, and then we looked at my CLS 55, and it actually was breaking the exact same piece there, which these cars are getting old. Maybe no one else has this issue, but I found it in two of my cars already. I'll show you what that one is. The other issue people are having is when they go up to a 90mm throttle body, or 92, or 85, or 10, blah, 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 blah. These intakes have to be modified because the Y pipe just won't fit. I think you can do up to 82mm, but that's really the most you really could do with this Y pipe. So another thing that people were saying were like the cone style ones, you get a better sound, the VRP, that whole setup. I mean, we have one of those on the CLS. So I want to try something a little bit cheaper and a little bit different. So we're going to be comparing this very makeshift cone one I made. It's just a little adapter that goes right to the throttle body, and then compare it to the factory one. So there's going to be benefits right off the hand. Like, we're going to do data and get air fuel ratio. We're going to get some main thing that matters. A lot of people say these heat soak when I do the little cone one. We're definitely going to look at air intake temperature. That's the main thing we're going to be focusing on, that, and a little bit of the sound, because you clearly hear a difference when you go to this style compared to that style. Night and day difference in sound wise. So you hear the supercharger. So first of all, it's a cool factor. So we're going to see if we lose any performance with this, because clearly if I'm going from like 10 degrees above ambient with the factory one, and then I go to this and I'm like 20 degrees ambient, then we know that this is just sucking in hot air. But we're going to test it out. I'm going to show you what actually was breaking on mine, of why I kind of want to go to this. So when I went to the track after the first hit, I got a Misfire, and what it was doing, like you can even see right now it's doing. So if you see how right there this plug is right up on there, and then when you shove these into here, you can actually see where it was wearing the whole time. It pushes up against that plug, and then applies pressure there, and snapped this right off. So I was getting a Misfire at the track after one pull, and then I found other issues when I got home with my coils, but this is what this thing snapped right off. So with that part snapping off, it just kind of like, it brings to your day of at the drag strip or something, or you could be stranded, or something that stupid. So I don't know if it was partly my fault. Maybe the box wasn't pushed in all the way or something, and then when I actually launched it, it slid back and snapped it. But no matter what, that part was brittle. It also probably was brittle from the heat, but clearly the air box you could see was hitting right there that whole time. So this was just constantly just going boom, 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 boom. And yeah, if I would have paid more attention, maybe I could have got it to go up and it would have slid over. But no matter what, they constantly rub. These also have a little bit of issue with heat soaking too, just because they sit right on the engine. So if you ever go and touch yours, your intake's hot. So there's a couple methods to fix that, where we might end up doing that if I see a huge difference between that little like mushroom filter and this setup. So let's start getting some data. So what we're doing, this is just firing it right up. This is 100%. Let me shut these windows, maybe you can hear me better. SOS, yeah. This is 100% literally just fired up. So it's outside, it's 96 degrees outside. So ambient's 96, and we're at like 102 right now. So like 6 degrees, just like kind of sitting right here. We'll let the car warm up a little bit and go from there. So we got the car warming up. It's been going for roughly like 10 minutes. It's at operating temperature. I'm gonna give it a few revs. That way, like, you kind of hear the sound of it warmed up with this intake. So it sounds pretty good. It doesn't sound bad. Inside the car, I don't hear that much of a whine. So I'm gonna re-look at the video and we'll see if it does sound any better. But now I'm gonna show you the air intakes from just idling and sitting here now. So I don't know how the light is, but so it's still 96 degrees out. Zoomy, zoomy, zoomy. And we're air intake at 102. And that was with like a little bit of revs. I mean, we'll go again even so you can hear from in the car. So just at idle, you're at like 102, which is like 6 degrees above ambient. So now we're gonna try to go a test ride and look at the data. So we drove it around a little bit. It might be a little bit windy. I got the windows open. It's hot as poop out with no AC on. We're still at 102. We're gonna do a pull right now. We're actually gonna go all the way forward, do a little bit just cruising, and then turn around and do a pull here in Mexico. Let's see if the camera will pick it up. If not, I'll try to read out the numbers. It's 102. I just can't see if the glare is on there or not. Just cruising, 37, nothing too crazy right now. So we're gonna try a quick little pull, a little like a 20 pull here in Mexico. Yeah, just once we start moving, it drops it down to like 100, 102. So we went to 133, I looked over, it looked like, and now we're dropping down to 115, 120, 114, 113, 109. So the recovery time for my cooling system is extremely well, if you can't tell, with it being so effing hot. This 104, so it's almost back down to the normal, like, the normal it is. And the temp kind of dropped outside too. The temp is now 92 outside. So if we just go above ambient, we're 12 degrees above ambient right now with it. So we're gonna pull back in, do one more pull, and see. 106 is, yep. That one went up to like, I think I saw 142, but let's shift up, But it's recovering immediately, so we're gonna pull back in and take some other testing. So we just did the cruise to Mexico, now we're back home, and the average air intake temperature right now is, so it's 92 outside, 108, was at like 15, 16 above ambient. So that's not bad. Let's check under the hood and see what those temps are. All right, so we're back. We're checking the temps with the little thermal gun. Get it equalized. So right there on the air boxes, we're 122. You go to like surge tanks, 124. That's not bad at all. Supercharger, 130. Yeah, not bad at all, but like that, you could just feel the heat radiating off of that. Mainly it's just because it's right on the engine bay. All the headers, they just come up and they heat soak it. All right, so now that we got that data of the factory air box and everything like that, I'm going to review it, make sure you guys can see everything. I'm going to now let the car sit for about like hour to 2 hours. We're going to throw fans on it, everything. We want to drop it back down to the exact same kind of parameters, exact same like when idle and so on and so forth like that, and see if like with that little cone, because I don't think the cone is going to matter too much at idle. I think what's going to matter is when you start hitting on it and beating on it and doing pulls. So we're going to let this car cool completely down and then test again. Oh, and as we take in this air box, holy poop, it is hot to get off. This was just for, it's very hot from just a little bit of pulls, but that's just what they are. Okay, so we let the car sit for about 2 hours. I put fans on the engine. I dumped out all the water in the heat exchanger box and put all fresh water in there. That way, in case like that was kind of hot. So now we let everything sit, so it's exactly the same as it was before, except now we got that other intake on. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fire it up, see what it is at the air intake's at like just sitting at fire up. Let it warm up a little bit for like 10 minutes. Same exact procedure, rev it a little bit, and see what we get. All right, so this is just initial fire up. So same thing now, it's 95, and the temperature is roughly the same outside. So as of right now, it's at it's actually doing better than the other one was, because now it's actually at ambient. So we're going to let it sit, let it go for a little bit. Once it gets warmed up, and then we'll check it again. So now we let it warm up. We're at 176 for coolant, and we're at 95. So that is like 6 degrees. Like, we're at ambient temperature right now. For whatever reason, sitting here, it's actually running colder than when it was. So we're sitting here, we got the coolant for 180, which I think is a little bit warmer than we had it before. And the air intake is actually at 95, which is right at ambient right now. So it's a lot better. So we're going to do a little rev. It's warmed up now. Let's see what it sounds like any better with this filter. Alright, so we got to have same way, like, you know what I mean? We let it warm up. Now we're going to give it a couple revs and see what it sounds like. I think it sounds pretty good. Like, in the car, you definitely hear it a lot more. So now we're going to go for our little road test and see if it's any really big difference in performance and temps. Make sure I didn't leave any tools. Alright, we're cool. Well, let's go. So even with the revs, it's up to 97. So it's basically staying like at ambient. So now we're going to go do some pulls and see. So we're doing the same thing, windows down. We drove it a real little bit. Do another like 20 gear pull here in Mexico. Mexico is so hot this time of year. Alright, let's see. Make sure no federales around. I think we got one instant taco stand up there, but we'll give them a little drive-by. Alright, so that one seemed like a pretty good. It's recovering really nicely. Let's go try to do one more. Oh, and that last one, I think I forgot to turn off my ESP, so it kind of like stopped me. So yeah, roughly the same thing. You can see it's recovering roughly the same. I think it hit 140. Which I'll have to review. I think that was roughly the same. And now it's just recovering so much. For whatever reason, it's covering. Like, I'm not really seeing a big difference in, like, it feels faster, but I think that's just me being an idiot. But watching the air intake temps, I'm going to review the footage once I get inside and see if the boost went anything different or anything like that. But we're back home, and, like, you just see it's just dropping 100, which that is definitely colder than what we were. So now we're going to start checking other stuff out. Oh, and I'll show you what it sounds like in the car, like with a little rev like this. You definitely can hear the supercharger a lot more. Alright, so same thing, we're going to get the little thermal gun out. 126, the same. 130s. That air it's getting is 130 back there, so that's not that good. Alright, so this is a little bonus one. We literally just got back. It's still 95 degrees out. We threw 5 pounds of ice, and we're at, right now, about 15 degrees below ambient. Now, if I would have waited, I probably could have get it even more, but I only had 5 pounds, and we're literally just doing a hot run. All I did was throw the 5 pounds of ice in there, and we're going to try to do a pool. We still have that mushroom filter on there, and look, it's still even dropping a little bit, so 79. So let's see what this car will do. This is just 5 pounds of ice. Let me put it this way. That 5 pound of ice kind of melted almost all the way. Like, it definitely dropped the temp. You could already tell. It dropped the temp of the, what's it called? The cool, or the, I can't even think for the heat exchanger, because I'm trying to do this quick before I, like, blow through all that. All right, so, yeah, it's like 96 out. So right now we are still, like, 18 below. Let's try to do a pool really quick here in Mexico. $77. Oh yeah, it just keeps dropping it. We got a little airflow going through it. We're gonna come up here in Mexico and turn around and then do a pull. All right, so we've been driving for a little bit, so definitely ice melted. So we're at 82, so that is still like 15 below. All right, let's try to do a pull here. Okay, that felt so much faster, and like literally, I didn't mean to stop recording, but look at the recovery. It's dropping. We're still below ambient, because 96, still below ambient again. It looks like off the review of footage, but it looks like it stopped at like 120, so that's 20 degrees under. And look at that recovery, 96, and this is just 5 pounds of ice, which 99% sure is by far melted already. Let's try to pull in here and go look at the tank really, really quick, so it's all like live footage. 84. Let's go. Let's see how much ice we got left. 0. Ah, it did melt. I figured that much. I only had like, I had a third of this bag, so like 5 pounds. Okay, so we're back. This is with the ice. Maybe the ice was in there for maybe 5-10 minutes. We just did 2 more pulls roughly. We're at now 110, 115, and like 111 for those. So even these, astronomically. So I think I might keep this around for a little bit. We're going to do some more data on it. I try to keep everything like simple. Alright guys, so I reviewed all the data. I watched my footage and all that stuff. I wrote everything down on my handy dandy notebook, and we're going to kind of go over it. So do remember, this is my car, my environment, my area. I try to keep everything the same by like when I fired the car up, how long I let it sit, like everything. I had the timer, blah blah blah. So we try to keep everything like as good as we could get it without like, I mean, that was the best I could do at my house and everything. So remember, it was 96 degrees out when we started. So the stock footage, which was the first one we showed, it was 102 at startup. So 102 at startup with it being 96 out was like 8 degrees above, which isn't that bad. You know, you let it warm up, so on and so forth. You got the coolant to temp. It didn't really go up at all. It wasn't like heat soaked or nothing at that time. The ice box and everything, or not that, well, the box was keeping everything cool enough. And then at wide open throttle, it dropped down to 92 degrees outside, and we hit 144 at wide open throttle, which is 52 degrees above ambient. Alright, then the cool down happened. The cool down went to 104. Like as you saw, it cools down pretty quickly. The boost was 9.5, so we had 9.5 psi. We're using the same gauge, same everything. That way all the data's the same. And then now we did 2 pulls on each of them. Same thing, 144, or yeah, 142, 108. Basically the exact same numbers with the factory earbox in Mexico, doing 2 or 3 hot laps and driving around a little bit. So then we took it home, let the car sit for a couple hours until like everything was cooled down and so on and so forth, just like the other one, because the other one I literally just woke up, went outside and fired it up. So we have almost the exact same parameters. Oh, then also we put the thermal gun on it, and we had those readings, and then with the little cone filter I built, we came up with 95 degrees, which is ambient temperature at the time. So right there, just at idle, we dropped it down about 6 degrees, just at idle. So you started at 6 degrees right there. And then we did the same thing, you know, wide open throttle, drove it around, same thing, 9.5 psi of boost. The temperature went up to 144. Now you think that's the exact same, but you got to remember, we're doing it in 4 degrees hotter weather. If that matters so much, all right, so right there we were 4 degrees. And then what was the big thing is the recovery time. So when it recovered, it dropped even lower. Because the other one went stock airbox, it was recovering at 108 degrees. This is basically 8 degrees colder when you started out off. So now it's making sense. So what I'm thinking that does is if you look at the intake, so the factory one has the airbox that sits up top. I think they get heat soaked, and then they stay hot. That little cone filter, you're not getting heat soaked. You're just sucking in, as you would say, hot air. But even though with the factory one, you're sucking in colder air from outside, it's passing through a big, like, heated box. So, from my research, the cone filter is almost identical, but just a little bit better. It felt faster, but that was just, you never know. You know when you want to try a performance mod, you want it to make you go faster, so that might have been that. And then we did a little bonus one with ice. So it was just 5 pounds of ice. Now let me tell you, I could fit 25 pounds of ice in my tank and actually make it like when you have your drink at home, make it so iced and icy. And that one was, same temperature, it was 96 outside. We got 81, it was 77 when we started, and we were at a 121 with that run. So right there, it was 20 degrees difference. Same boost, same 9.5, and then it recovered back to below ambient. With the ice in there, and as I showed you really quick, we turned right around, the ice was melted like almost immediately, but the water was still cold. So if I packed more ice in there, it would last a lot longer. So right there, that shows you that 5 pounds of ice at the drag strip will be plenty enough for you to get down the run and come back. Now, would have been better if I had like 25 pounds of ice here. Yeah, I actually do got 25 pounds of ice in my freezer right now. But I'm not trying to waste it just to go do this, because I thought this gave enough data for it. So I like what I found. I'm probably going to keep the cone filter for a little bit and see if there's any disadvantages. I'll be data logging and stuff like that. And I did see someone on Facebook or whatever, they make like a shield for that type of filter. I'm going to contact him. Maybe he'll give me a deal on it. Maybe he won't. But we'll see that shield and see if that even like blocks off some of the hot air. Maybe we gain a little bit. But I hope you guys like it for watching. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, throw a comment down. And next, as you also know, I do have the CLS one. So we might go try the VR. My CLS 55 has like the VRP one that they sell. I'm probably going to start pulling data on that car. But that car is just like a drive around. It is what it is type of car. So we're going to see. And also the mods on the car were header, VTEC tune, which he makes the car. It makes the car a lot faster from the previous tuner. And then a 77 millimeter fixed pulley, not clutched or nothing like that. So also throw a comment down if you think like 10 PSI is too low for that pulley, or if there's something else wrong, or if maybe I got a boost leak. But thanks guys for watching. Catch you guys later.